everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm here to bring you my September book haul. So in the month of September, I went slightly back to my normal ways. It is not anywhere near as small as the last few months have been, but it is still not to the point where I have gone overboard. So let's dive in to what I got in September. So first up, I'm going to start with my ebooks and my audiobooks. I got Unbaked Croquis by Sam Cheever. This is a cozy mystery with fantastical elements. I don't really know much more about it, but I was drawn in by this cover because, I mean, look at that cute little kitty cat. And I love a good cozy mystery with fantastical elements, so very interested to see if I like this one. Next up, I got Blood of a Gladiator by Ashley Gardner. This is the first book in the Leonidas and the Gladiator mysteries. It says, Leonidas, champion gladiator of Rome, is set free from the games by a mysterious benefactor who grants him freedom, a place to live, and a servant, Cassia, a scribe, to look after him. But the benefactor is only so generous. Leonidas must pay his own way and Cassia's, which means hiring himself out. The sharp-witted Cassia quickly lands him a post as a bodyguard, escorting a retired senator to Ostia. The trip soon turns deadly as Leonidas and Cassia find themselves squarely in the middle of intrigue that reaches from the slums of the suburbia to the Palatine Hill and the Emperor, Nero, himself. I thought this sounded interesting, and I'm always up for a good historical fiction mystery. And this feels different to a lot of the other historical fiction mysteries I've looked at. So I think this could be really fun. Next, I grabbed Maids of Misfortune by M. Louisa Locke. This is another historical fiction mystery. This one is set in 1879, and Annie Fuller, a young San Francisco widow, is in trouble. Her husband squandered her fortune before committing suicide 5 years earlier, and one of his creditors is now threatening to take the boarding house she owns to pay the debt. She also has a secret. She supplements her income by giving domestic and business advice as Madame Sybil, one of San Francisco's most exclusive clairvoyants, and one of Madame Sybil's clients has died. The police believe it was suicide brought on by bankruptcy, but Annie believes he's been murdered and his assets have been stolen. It looks like the lawyer of the dead man would also love to believe that he didn't leave his family destitute, but that would mean working with Annie, a woman he feels alternatively attracts and infuriates him, as she shatters every notion he ever had of proper ladylike behavior. So it looks like Anne and Nate, the lawyer, are going to work together to try to figure out what happened to Madame Sybil's client. So I thought this also sounded really, really interesting, and we'll see if I can get to it sooner rather than later. Next up, I got an audiobook of Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. The audiobooks for this series are fantastic. There's a lot of elements, like, for instance, if a conversation was recorded on a tape recorder and we're hearing that conversation be played back, it sounds like it was being played back for us, the listener. So I really like having the audiobooks for these because they bring it to life in a way that the physical book just can't. So I decided I was going to read this and that I wanted the audiobook and I couldn't get it from my library, so I ended up snagging a copy. Next, I got the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This was 99 cents, and I'm glad that's all I spent because I didn't particularly love this book. This follows Jeannie, who is gifted her aunt's Pumpkin Spice Cafe and is looking forward to kind of getting away from her boring old job. She gets there and ends up meeting Logan, a local farmer, who doesn't really want anything to do with the new girl. But some weird noises that are happening outside of Jeannie's shop inspires Logan to kind of help her out, and we see a relationship develop between the two. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of this, but I know a lot of people like it. And when I bought it, I didn't realize it was spicy, and I found that out after the fact. It just looked like a kind of cozy book. I mean, look at the cover. And I found out that after the fact, decided I would give it a try, and I didn't really enjoy it, even though I still think the cover is awesome. Next, I grabbed Frankenred by Matt Coyne. It says, estranged from his friends, son, and the ever-changing world beyond his front gate, Frank is a reclusive curmudgeon whose only company is the ghost of his dead wife, Marcy. Then 6-year-old Red moves in next door, a boy struggling to adjust to the separation of his mom and dad, a new school, and the demonic school bully. Red is curious, smart, and talkative. And he has a trampoline. From the moment Red's blonde mop appears over the top of the fence that divides their two gardens, the unlikeliest of friendships is born. This sounds like it is right up my alley, and when I saw the description, I was like, yes, I must have this. So I can't wait to get to this one. And then the last ebook I got is Lenny Among Ghosts, and this looks like it's a spooky middle grade that follows a boy who is the only human student in a school for ghosts. So I think this is going to be really fun to read during spooky season. So now that I'm done with my ebooks and my audiobooks, let's jump into the physical books. First, I've got The Last Current Call, which is the, I want to say, 9th book in the Haunted Home Renovation Mystery Series. I've really, really enjoyed this series. It follows Mel, who works in construction and kind of restores old Victorian homes. And in the first book, realizes she can see ghosts and has been kind of dealing with various bodies showing up and that are usually somehow related to the house she's restoring. And of course, seeing ghosts as she goes that may or may not help her figure out what happened. I did not have access via the library to this book, so I decided I was going to get it because I wanted to continue the series. So here it is. Then I got A Perfect Bind and A Book Club to Die For. These are books 2 and 3 in the beloved Bookworm mystery series. I read the first book earlier this year, maybe, or late last year, and really enjoyed it. And when I saw I could get the second 2 books, I decided to snag them. These are another set of cozy mysteries, and I have been reading more of those, so it's really nice to have some more options for my shelves when the cozy mystery prompt comes up. Then I got Dogtown by Katherine Applegate and Jennifer Koldenko. It's a Katherine Applegate book. Need I say more? She is absolutely an auto-buy author for me, and I believe I've read something else from Jennifer Koldenko and liked it, which I found out, I think, after I had pre-ordered this, but I absolutely want to have the entirety of Katherine Applegate's collection. I have no idea what this book is going to be about. I'm assuming it's going to involve a dog, but I'm assuming because it's Katherine Applegate, I'm going to love it. Next, I got The Witch's Apprentice, which is book 3 in the Dragons in a Bag series. This is another series I have been looking forward to continuing. It follows Jackson, who in the first book is dealing with dragons in a bag. And I remember really, really liking the first 2 and wanting to continue the series. And now I absolutely can. And how gorgeous is this cover? Absolutely love it. Then I grabbed The Vanderbeekers Ever After. This is the 7th and final book in the Vanderbeeker series, and I absolutely love this. I have wanted the entire series for my shelves, and this was available for pre-order, so I got the 7th book so I can add it to my collection. This is 100% a series I will reread someday. I've adored every second I spent with the Vanderbeekers, and I am highly going to miss them, but looking forward to a reread where I can reconnect. Then I grabbed The Alchemist's Shadow, which is the 2nd book in the Watch Hollow series. This is a spooky middle grade series, and I enjoyed the first one and decided that I was going to pick up the second one so that when I wanted to read it, I had it on my shelves. Then I grabbed The First Rule of Climate Club, and this is a companion novel to Dress Coded. I'm assuming it's similar to Dress Coded, which focused more on the dress code and the unfairness of it in some ways, shape, or form. I'm going to assume that we see the kids in this book take on climate change. And if it's written the same way Dress Coded is, I'm absolutely going to love it. So I cannot wait to get to this one. Then I grabbed a Who HQ book, and that is Who Was Fidel Castro? I believe I found this in a little free library. I have a vague idea of who he is, but I'm very curious to see how this middle grade book depicts Fidel Castro and what I learn about him. Then I got The Other Worlds by Justine Pusella Winans. And this, I mean, the cover drew me in because of the cat and also spooky vibes. It says, some would say River Rydell is a chosen one, born with the ability to see monsters and travel to a terrifying spirit world called The Other Worlds. They have all the makings of a hero. But River just considers themselves unlucky. After all, it's not like anyone actually believes River can do these things. So the way River sees it, best to keep their head down and ignore anything otherworld related. But the other worlds won't be ignored any longer. When River's friend and crush Avery is kidnapped by monsters, River has no choice but to confront the world they've only seen in their nightmares. But reality turns out to be even more horrifying. With just their cat for protection and a wayward teen spirit as their guide, River must face the monsters of the other worlds and their own fears to save Avery and become the hero they were unfortunately destined to be. So yes, this sounds like it's going to have spooky vibes, and I also like that it has queer rep in it. So I will hopefully be getting to this in spooky season. Then I got The Library of Borrowed Hearts by Lucy Gilmore. 2 young lovers, 60 long years, one bookish mystery worth solving. I think that right there is enough to tell me this is the kind of contemporary or literary fiction I would enjoy. I remember reading the description and being really, really into it. I believe I got this as part of a buy one, get one 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble. And I will mention when I get to the other book what that one was. But there were a couple I was looking at, and I read this description, and then I read the description of all 3 of them to my mom, and this is the one we both were like, yeah, let's go with this one. So I'm very, very curious about this one, and think it's going to be a really nice break when I'm looking for something that is maybe a little bit lighter and doesn't have like a historical or fantastical element. Then I got Celestial Monsters, which is the sequel to the Sunbearer Trials, and I cannot wait to read this. I plan to reread the Sunbearer Trials and then read this so that I can read the whole duology at the same time. But I absolutely love Aidan Thomas's writing, and I love that it's got a constellation on the hardback, and if I can get the cover back on, we have a really cool map for M Papers, and I remember really, really loving the Sunbearer Trials, and I want to refresh my memory on that so that all of the details are fresh so I can read this and mark this duology off. 100% we'll get to this at some point in 2025. Another sequel I'm really excited about is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and y'all, I love The House in the Cerulean Sea. I don't need to reread it to read this one because I remember enough of the details of that, but I might anyways, just because I love that series. It has gorgeous yellow sprayed edges and what looks to be a seashell on the cover. I don't know anything about this sequel, but I'm assuming we're back with the crew from The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I cannot wait to read it. Then I got River Stars Home. This is one of the few Warriors books I do not own. I don't think anybody is surprised to see an Erin Hunter book on here. This is 16 or 17 or something like that in the Super Edition series. I have read this, really enjoyed it, and I'm so happy that I am getting this much closer to finally having the entirety of the Warrior series. Then I got The Dog Across the Lake by Krista Davis. This is the most recent book in the Paws and Claws mystery series. This is another one I wanted to continue, but I did not have access to, so I ended up buying it. It is a cozy mystery series that follows Holly, who works at an inn with her grandmother and has a dog named Trixie and a kitten named Twinkletoes, although the cat's probably not a kitten anymore, a cat named Twinkletoes, and ends up solving some sort of mystery in every book. I've really enjoyed the series. The fact that I always remember Trixie and Twinkletoes tells you how much of a character her pets are, and I just love this and cannot wait to see what happens in this one. Then I got The Menagerie by 2T Sutherland and Kari Sutherland, and I own the ebook of this, but I was perusing a little free library, and they were like, here, do you want a free copy of the physical? And I went, well, yes, I do. So now I have the physical copy in addition to the ebook copy. I don't know anything about this other than it's written by 2T Sutherland, and she wrote the Wings of Fire series, which I quite enjoyed, and is one of the people who has written under the pseudonym Erin Hunter. No-brainer that I was going to pick this up. Then I got Paranorthern and the Chaos Bunny Apocalypse, and this is a queer middle grade graphic novel that is spooky, and it just sounded really interesting. It says, in this deliciously humorous, cozy, and bewitching graphic novel, sometimes the most powerful magic comes from our connections to family and friends. But kicking evil bunny butt is pretty great too. So it sounded cute, and we're going to be following Abby, her friends, who are a ghost, a pumpkin head, and a werewolf girl. And I think it's going to be a fun read. Not to mention a quick read. And hopefully I love the art and the story and the characters. Then, the other half of that buy one, get one 50% off, Can't Spell Treason Without T. So I picked this up because it was my queer book club pick, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get it from the library in time, and so I decided that, you know what, I'll just snag it. I've heard enough things about it to think that it's going to be something I enjoy. I also think the blue sprayed edges are really cool, and I did end up really enjoying it. This follows Rena and Keonth, and they want to open a bookshop, but they both have some things following them that may or may not make that hard. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed this, so I'm not at all mad that I ended up buying it. And last, but certainly not least, Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Wrath of the Triple Goddess. So this is the second book in what he has dubbed the senior year adventures in the Percy Jackson series. I read this. I love this. It's got really gorgeous, like bright orange sprayed edges. We have some character drawings on the end papers and some more back here. And I just absolutely love this series. I love this book. I love Rick Riordan's writing, and I will always buy his books because he is another auto-buy author for me. So read this, love this, so glad I have it, and can't wait to hopefully be able to next year include another Rick Riordan book. So that was my September haul. As you can see, a little bit bigger than the previous few months, but not as bad as the beginning of the year. I tried to mainly focus on picking up series books. I didn't always do that perfectly, but I am trying to fill in some of my series so that I can just grab them off my shelves. And I think I did a decent job of that in this one. Of the books I haven't read, which one do you want me to read the most? Let me know in the comments section below, and I'll see what I can do about reading it in the near future. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me tea emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!